Did you know that India's top 1% business owners control over 40% of the nation's wealth? And the top 1% of startups, they raise nearly 90% of all major VC funding. That's not a coincidence, that's a system, a strategy. And today we are pulling back the curtains. Because if you've ever wondered why some founders skyrocket while others grind for years with nothing to show for it, this video is your wake up call. When we say top 1%, we are not just talking about wealth. We are talking about those rare entrepreneurs who've cracked the code. They build empires without building to-do lists. In this video, I'm breaking down the secret business strategy of the elite, the mindsets, the habits, and the moves that the average entrepreneur either doesn't know or are stuck in wrong programming. Most entrepreneurs like yourself don't fail because you're lazy. You fail because you're playing a rigged game with wrong rules. You're told, just work harder, build something cool, get on product hunt, go viral, hustle 16 hours a day, and the money will come. But here's the brutal truth. Hard work without leverage is just modern day slavery. Cool products without deep insight, they die in silence. Hustling isn't a strategy, it's a treadmill. 90% of startups fail within the first 5 years. Not because the founders don't care, but because they were stuck in survival mode. They were too busy trying to look successful instead of thinking strategically. While they are pitching to the wrong VCs, spending on Google or Facebook ads they don't understand, or trying to beat the algorithms and trying to build content. The 1% are in closed door dinners, locking in partnerships, building moats, and buying back their time. Here's what no one tells you. The biggest barrier to 1% success isn't money. It's not even access. It's not even luck. It's that most founders are never taught how the game is really played. The 1% operate by a completely different playbook. One that doesn't trend on Twitter, one that isn't sold in online 99 rupees courses, one that doesn't chase applause, but only focuses on results. In this video, we are going to be talking about what those 1% really think about, how they go about implementing their business, how they go about planning and strategizing. And what makes me qualified to talk about this, because I've worked with some of the largest companies doing 100 CR, 200 CR, 1000 CR and even more revenues, and I know what these founders think like. So that is why I'll be in a better position to kind of guide you on that. This video is about giving you a glimpse into that playbook, because if you can see how the top 1% play, you can start playing differently too. Okay, so now that you've seen the problem, let's talk about strategy. The 1% don't work harder, they work differently. They don't chase tactics, they operate from first principles. Here are the 4 major secret strategies that separate the 1% from the rest of the world. The first is mindset. Let's start with mindset, and this is not the fluffy motivational kind where you're singing kumbaya or just jumping and screaming and all that weird things. Nothing of that sort. I'm talking about mental architecture, decision making frameworks, and mental frameworks which help you think, analyze situations, and come to better decisions. The top 1% literally rewire how they think. They have different mental frameworks, they have different mental models, and that's why they're able to get so much success. They train themselves to delay gratification. They make high conviction, long term bets. They stay emotionally neutral in chaos. They obsess over what matters, not just what's trending. For example, Jeff Bezos. In the early 2000s, Amazon was bleeding money like crazy. In fact, he was made fun about in practically every business news channel, and he was invited to these channels as a guest, and they were making fun of him over there as well. Everyone said he was crazy. But Bezos wasn't building a store. He was building a network effect flywheel. While others focused on daily, monthly, quarterly earnings, he was focused on 2010. He was focused on 2020, on 2030, and seeing what Amazon is going to do in the future. So the takeaway of this is average founders chase dopamine. They look for quick wins, quick victories, so they get the dopamine hits, they get the dopamine rush, and make their decisions around that. The top 1% build systems that compound. Number 2, the top 1%, they are obsessed with self-education. This one's the most underrated, but probably the most powerful of them all. Most people stop learning after school. The 1% treat learning like a competitive advantage. They study across disciplines: psychology, behavior economics, sales, system thinking. They don't just read business books, They consume mental models, they consume frameworks, and they apply quickly. Think about it. You have one founder who gets 9 out of 10 decisions right, and you have another founder who gets 50 or 60 out of 100 decisions right. Now, the second founder, he may have made a lot of mistakes, but he's still 50 to 60 decisions ahead of the first founder who only took 10 decisions. That is the difference maker between the 1% and the average founder. So let's look at an example of Nikhil Kamath at Zerodha. Essentially a school dropout, no MBA, but he's always learning from people, patterns, and problems. He understood that retail investors needed simplicity, not complexity, and he built exactly that. So the takeaway is, if you're not learning faster than your competitors, you're already losing. Number 3, deep market intuition. The 1% don't just know their market, they feel it in their bones. They don't chase features, they chase problems worth solving. They don't just fix existing problems, they create a completely new market which probably isn't even existing right now. They sit with the customers, ask dangerous questions, they map the psychology behind the pain, and then they go deeper than anyone else is willing to go. Example, Sridhar Vembu from Zoho. He built a SaaS empire not from Silicon Valley but from a village in Tamil Nadu. Why? Because he understood the underserved and doubled down on delivering 10x value at a fraction of the price. So the takeaway is, products built from spreadsheets, features, or imagined problems fail. Products built from real pain dominate. Number 4, leverage technology and asymmetry. Technology has completely changed how the world operates in today's day and age, and the amount of leverage which technology can provide is absolutely mind-blowing. The top 1%, they don't scale with brute force, they scale with leverage, and their favorite weapon is tech. They use automation to do the work of 10 people. They build digital infrastructures that works while they sleep, and they use tools to create asymmetrical outcomes. And this has only compounded with the advent of AI. ChatGPT started this trend, and now with new and new open LLM models and more innovations happening in the AI space, this is only going to grow further. And increasingly, you will be starting to see companies where you have a single or a 2% or a 5% company with $1 million or even up to $1 billion valuations. That is the future which is facing us today. For example, let's look at Toby Lutke, who was the founder of Shopify. Toby wasn't trying to build an empire when he started out. He just wanted to sell snowboards online. But instead of hiring a sales team or opening retail stores, he wrote a few hundred lines of Ruby code. He wanted to solve this problem of creating a simple to create website for his own business to solve his own problem of selling codes. But who knew that that tiny piece of code would essentially become the foundation of Shopify, a $60 billion company where hundred thousands of businesses now use as a standard framework to build their e-commerce website on. So now instead of selling products, Shopify sells infrastructure that powers millions of entrepreneurs. That's the power of leverage. If you're still doing manually what others have automated, you're not running a business, you're just running a job with extra stress of an entrepreneur. Oh, and here's a bonus one, which most people are ignoring today. Most entrepreneurs hope for quick transactional deals, especially ever since 2020s, 2010, 2020s. The current generation, the old school relationships are practically gone, and people are hoping to close the transaction, close the relationship within the first call itself. But that's not how the top 1% think. The top 1% invest in relationships as capital. They understand that access to the right room can shortcut 5 years of struggle. They don't network, they build alliances. They ask how they can add value first, not what they can take. So the takeaway is, your next breakthrough is not about just a product feature. It's not even about a specific design or UI UX. It's probably just one introduction away. All that matters is how much time have you spent to cultivate that relationship with that new person who can help you create that new opportunity and open the doors for you. So here's the bottom line. You've seen the strategies, you've seen the patterns, the mindset, the obsession with learning, the deep mindset, deep market insight, and the technology leverage. But none of them by themselves are enough. If you don't master this one thing of focusing on relationships, all of the above 4 will not work out, because essentially humans are social animals, and if you don't focus on relationships, you won't be able to take your business to the next level. So I hope you found this video educational, you found it helpful, and if that's the case, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, and I'll see you in the next one. All the best.